We're gonna get started, and we will begin with our annual review of Robert's Rules. Robert's Rules of Order are the basic rules of order for this meeting, except where Vermont law takes precedent. All motions, remarks, and discussion must be addressed to the moderator. I'll do my best to recognize you in the order that you have raised your hand. You must always be recognized to speak. After being recognized, please stand up, give it your name, and then please speak loudly enough to be heard by all. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes. An article, as you know, must be moved and seconded by the body and then restated by the monitor before it is under consideration and debate on the article can begin. The person who makes the motion has the privilege to speak first. Articles may have only one amendment at a time associated with them, and amendments to an article likewise may have only one amendment at a time associated with them. After you've spoken once on a particular article, you will not be recognized a second time during discussion on that article or amendment until all other voters who wish to speak on the issue for the first time are given an opportunity to do so. You are allowed to speak twice on any given article. My role as the moderator is to help you accomplish the business that you intend to do. Please raise your hand and ask questions if you don't understand what is happening, or if you think what is happening is wrong for some reason, or if you want to do something but you're not sure how to proceed. We'll work our way through it. At this time, I would ask that those who are not registered voters in the town of Fairfield to raise their hands. Thank you. As I'm sure you're aware, unless there is a suspension of the rules, you may not vote or speak on articles. I'd like to now call our annual town meeting to order. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, in liberty and justice for all. I'd like to now offer a moment of silence for our fellow townspeople who are no longer with us. Thank you. I'll now proceed to read the warning, but just before that, there is a correction to the minutes from last year's meeting. If you go to page 3, Article 4, Section E, one auditor for 3 years, it should be corrected to show that Jeannie Persons was nominated by Mary Schreindorfer. So now on to this year's warning. The inhabitants of the town of Fairfield, Vermont, who are legally qualified voters in the town of Fairfield, are hereby warned and notified to meet at Veterans Hall in the Village of Fairfield Center on Tuesday, the 5th day of March, 2004, at 10 o'clock in the forenoon to transact the following business. Article 1, to elect a moderator for a 1-year term. Article 2, to receive the various reports of the officers of the town as contained in the current town report. Article 3, to elect from the legal voters of said town the following officers: 1 select person for a term of 3 years by ballot, 1 select person for a term of 2 years by ballot, 1 auditor for a term of 3 years by ballot, 1 library trustee for a term of 3 years, 1 library trustee for a term of 2 years, and a first constable for a term of 1 year. Article 4, shall property taxes be due and payable on the first Friday of the month of November? Article 5, shall the voters approve the 2024 total general fund expenditures of $1,828,000, of which $1,179,044 shall be raised by taxes and $648,956 by non-tax revenues. Previous year total expenditures were $1,740,585, of which $1,153,310 were raised by taxes and $587,275 by non-tax revenues. Article 6, shall the voters approve 2024 expenditures of $176,589 for the Bent Northrop Memorial Library, $136,159 of which shall be raised by taxes, and $40,430 by non-tax revenues. Previous year total expenditures were $173,404 for the Bent Northrop Memorial Library, $129,214 of which were raised by taxes, and $44,190 by non-tax revenues. Article 7, shall the voters approve $117,225 for the support of the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department, said appropriation only to be paid by the town upon condition that the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department submit to the town by November 1st, 2024, a copy of its most recent balance sheet and bank statement for review by the town auditors. Previous year was $117,225. Article 8, shall the voters approve $18,000 in support of the Fairfield Community Center Association, previous year $18,000. Article 9, shall the voters approve a donation of $3,971 for the Franklin County Home Health Agency, previous year was $3,971. Article 10, shall the voters approve a donation of $3,000 for the outdoor classroom, previous year was $3,000. Article 11, shall the voters approve a donation of $600 for Cat Crusaders of Franklin County, Inc., previous year, and this is another correction, previous year was $600. Article 12, shall the town of Fairfield discuss that there is an inconsistency between the town of Fairfield's land use regulations and the town of Fairfield's town plan that prioritizes the protection and ongoing use of agricultural lands. Article 13, to transact any other non-binding business that may properly come before this meeting. And Article 14, to adjourn. So Article 1 is to elect a moderator for a one-year term, and I would entertain some nominations.
I would nominate Bridget Hargan-Rivet.
Bridget Hargan-Rivet has been nominated. Is there a second? And your name, please? Dan Pike seconded. Can you still hear me all right? Okay, good, thanks. All in favor of Bridget Hargan-Rivet, or excuse me, are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast one ballot for Bridget Hargan-Rivet as not moderator for a term of 1 year. Thank you. Article 2, to receive the various reports of the officers of the town as contained in the current town report. Is there a motion?
So moved, Melissa Manson.
Moved by Melissa Manson. Is there a second? Second by?
John Gordon.
John Gordon, thank you. Any discussion to receive the various reports of the officers of the town as contained in the current town report? Floor is open for discussions, questions. Shall we call the question? All right, we'll move on to Article 3, to elect from the legal voters of said town the following officers. We'll start with nominations for one select person for a term of 3 years by ballot.
I nominate Ron Bokesh. I'll second that.
Ron Bokash is nominated and seconded. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast one ballot for Ron Bokash as select person for a term of 3 years. Congratulations, Ron. Floor is open now for nominations for one select person for a term of 2 years by ballot.
Nominate Dave Persons.
David Persons has been nominated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by,
John Baxter.
thank you. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast one ballot for David Persons as select person for a term of 2 years. Congratulations, David.
Do it for the pay.
Floor is now open for nominations for an auditor for a term of 3 years by ballot.
I nominate Mary Schreiber.
Okay. And is there a second? Mary Schreindorfer has been nominated. And your name, please. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast a ballot for Mary Schreindorfer as auditor for a term of 3 years.
And we see our next correction.
Correction, thank you, Mary. What?
Oh, because there was more stuff last year and I forgot to update.
Oh, okay. Next item, we're open for nominations for one library trustee for a term of 3 years. Oh, yes. Michelle Feiner has been nominated. Is there a second?
I seconded.
And your name, please?
Pete Hopkins.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast one ballot for Michelle Feiner as library trustee for a term of 3 years. Congratulations, Michelle. Floor is open for library trustee for a term of 2 years.
I nominate Sorrel Shabbat.
And your name, please?
Mary Alice Elbow. I'll second that.
And your name, please?
Linda Aldrich.
Sorrel Shabbat has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast one ballot for Sorrel Shabbat for library trustee for a term of 2 years. Congratulations, Sorrel. Floor is now open for nominations for a first constable for a term of 1 year.
James Constantino.
Is there a second? David. David. Are there any other nominations for first constable? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I would ask the clerk to cast one ballot for James Constantino as first constable for a term of 1 year. Congratulations, James. Article 4, shall property taxes be due and payable on the first Friday in the month of November? Is there a nominate, or a motion? Yes? A motion for the tax, for tax to be payable on the first Friday in November?
I make a motion, keep it the same as it was.
Okay, so are you seconding it? I think John Gordon made the motion and you'll second. Okay, thank you. The floor is open for discussion. On property taxes being due the first Friday in November. Okay, shall we call the question? All right, all in favor of property taxes being due and payable on the first Friday in the month of November, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 5. Shall the voters approve the 2024 total general fund expenditures of $1,828,000, of which $1,179,044 shall be raised by taxes and $648,956 by non-tax revenues? Is there a motion? Moved to approve the 2024 total general fund expenditures. Is there a second? And seconded, Damian Boomhauer.
And Julie moved it, right?
Julie moved it, yes. Shall the voters approve the 2024 total general fund expenditures of $1,828,000, of which $1,179,044 shall be raised by taxes and $648,956 by non-tax revenues? Floor is open for discussion.
Bridget, did we kind of talk about we're done with their money?
Yeah.
Well, excuse me, we thought you'd kind of like to know what we've been doing with your money. Last year was probably one of the biggest projects was the complete culverts changeover down by Danny and Robbie Horgan's. We used ARPA funds to do that. I think originally that project was supposed to be, we got a $175,000 grant, and we had to kick in 50, and it wound up 3 years later when it got done, around $450,000. The cost of everything having gone up. The other big project was we had a grant, we get them about fortunately every 3 years, and we blacktopped as much of Chester Arthur Road as we could. Next year we'll be continuing it, but we won't be able to go anywhere near the same distance because it'll be just town monies doing it. Can you think of, we did a bunch up on Pumpkin Village Road. We got a bunch done there of drainage, ditching, and different things that were required. Those are pretty much the biggest projects I can think of. I think that's about it. We had something down here on paper for you. Let's see. Well, our budget only went up 2.23%. So we've held that, we've held back in some other things. Last year, everything had gone up crazy. We were trying to keep our budget as realistic as you could afford, because we're all helping to pay these taxes. So we truly try to keep an eye on what we're spending it on. Pretty much all the buildings, the new buildings, the infrastructure are all paid for except for, I think, 4 more years on the library. And then all the new buildings in town since 2002 will be paid for. So we're very fortunate we got an infrastructure in place and we don't owe anything on it. And I think when we get our yearly audits done, financially, town of Fairfield is probably in as good a shape with most towns or any towns in the state of Vermont. So that's what our goal is, plus to try to provide services, keep the roads open for you in fair shape. So if you have some questions, we'll attempt to answer them.
Yeah, hi, John Gordon. I just had one question on the zoning. There's a $16,000 miscellaneous, it just says under miscellaneous. And looking at the zoning report, I didn't see what that, I'm just curious what that.
I believe that's going to be a contract with Northwest Regional Planning to go over the town bylaws and make sure everything works with the zoning and planning commission. So everything jives together. The goals of what they want on one side equals out on the other. I believe that's what that's all about, John.
Thank you.
If you haven't got any other questions, I'll sit down and let you vote.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? All right. Call the vote. All right, all in favor of the voters to approve the 2024 total general fund expenditures of $1,828,000, of which $1,179,044 shall be raised by taxes and $648,956 by non-tax revenues. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 6. Shall the voters approve 2024 expenditures of $176,589 for the Bent Northrop Memorial Library, $136,159 of which shall be raised by taxes, and $40,430 by non-tax revenues? I would entertain a motion. Motion by, thank you. Is there a second?
I second, Jean Hopkins.
Thank you. Motion has been made to approve 2024 expenditures of $176,589 for the Bent Northrop Memorial Library, $136,159 of which shall be raised by taxes, and $40,430 by non-tax revenues. I'll open for discussion. Sorry. Can we, Sarah Allerton, can we suspend the rules? She's not a registered voter, but our librarian. Okay, great. Sarah?
It's okay.
Yeah. Use the microphone so they can hear you.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Ooh, I think a microphone might break out singing for you. I'll keep it brief, I promise. I could talk all day about how much we all love the library and everything that it does. So first of all, business is absolutely booming at the library. We've got increases across all areas. 13,000 unique visits this year, that's up 5% more than last year. Our physical material circulation is up 17%. Adding to the collection, all the ebooks and audiobooks you can get, that's up to 80,000 different materials you can get for free. Programs and program attendance is up over 40% for both of those things. And new patrons, when new people are coming into this community, we've got a 68% increase of people getting new accounts with us. So people know that the NML is the place to be. So regarding the budget, the overall 2024 budget, it's very conservative. It's increasing just a mere 1.8%. And the tax request portion increase is only 5.4%, but let me point out that's less than $7,000. It's primarily due to increases in property insurance and health insurance, and some changes in staffing costs. You know, we're trying to inch those pay rates up. They're still below average. The assistant will increase from 19 hours a week to 20 hours a week, but with really careful spending, we were able to generate a small surplus, so $2,700 of that will go into our capital reserve fund, and $4,000 will go to decrease your tax ask. So just lastly, quickly, there was great data count coming out of the state this year. So fun fact that we are, compared to other libraries in towns between 2,000 and 4,000 people, so we're obviously on the low end of that. On average, we're open more hours and we have more visits. And we have a total of 52 staff hours where the average is 99. So you're getting a really huge bang for your buck at one of the busiest libraries in the county. So I won't take any more of your time, but I do hope you'll feel free to talk to me anytime about the direction of the library, anything. I really value transparency, especially on financial matters. So Thank you very much to the trustees, and thanks for your support.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Sarah. Ready to call the question? All right. All in favor of approving 2024 expenditures of $176,589 for the Bend Northwood Memorial Library, $136,159 of which shall be raised by taxes and $40,430 by non-tax revenues. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 7. Shall the voters approve $117,225 for the support of the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department, said appropriation only to be paid by the town upon condition that the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department submit to the town by November 1st, 2024, a copy of its most recent balance sheet and bank statement for review by the town auditors. I would entertain a motion. Motion by John Schreindorfer. Is there a second? Second by Chuck Verdeberg. Article has been moved and seconded to approve $117,225 for the support of the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department, said appropriation only to be paid by the town upon condition that the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department submit to the town by November 1st, 2024, a copy of its most recent balance sheet and bank statement for review by the town auditors. Floor is open for discussion. Any discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving $117,225 for the support of the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department, said appropriation only to be paid by the town upon condition that the Fairfield Volunteer Fire Department submit to the town by November 1st, 2024, a copy of its most recent balance sheet and bank statement for review by the town auditors. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 8. Shall the voters approve $18,000 in support of the Fairfield Community Center Association? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Name, please. Thank you. Is there a second? Second with Michelle Finan. Motion has been made and seconded to approve $18,000 in support of the Fairfield Community Center Association. Floor is open for discussion. Julie?
I'd like to make an announcement about community meals at the Fairfield Community Center. They take place every Tuesday. Folks can arrive at noon for soup. Dinner served at 12:30. We're asking for a $5 donation. We have a chef on board, Sunny Andow, is cooking and preparing great meals, so we invite you all to come. It's open to any age group. Anyone can come. More things about the center. We have a licensed after-school program now, and we're working collaboratively with the school to get more people coming, more kids coming. We have a preschool there. The food shelf is open every Tuesday. Puts out a really good spread for people to choose from. We have fresh produce and milk and eggs and dry goods, and anyone's welcome to come for food. And we'd appreciate your support with this article. It will go towards operational costs, particularly in staff salary. If you have questions, let me know. I'll be here all day. Thanks.
Just a little historical perspective on Michelle Bissett, on the community center. About 40 years ago, a group of citizens in East Fairfield got together when the school that is now the community center was about to be sold to a private concerns. And our old friend Don Cattell in town was opposed to that, thinking that once that property was gone, it would be gone forever. You never get public property back once it's been sold. It was hard to. So thinking back on that time, Sonny Morey, Donnie and Ruth Magnan, Don Cattell, Danny and Joanne McCoy, myself, my husband, Robert Iwaskevich, Terry Ayers, and Ed Hawk worked really hard to get the community center going. The town was kind enough to listen to us and trust us and allow us to rent this building for $1 a year. We never know if we're in arrears or not. The rest is history. It's been a really wonderful, wonderful history of progress. A lot of faces in this room are people that have volunteered forever or have worked there, but for new faces to know that this is an over 40-year-old operation that brings a lot of services, all the services that Julie just mentioned to town. And it's grown, and we just are so grateful for the support. For probably 15, 20 years, we never asked for a penny, and did a lot of really serious fundraising, which we still do. And anyway, glad to see you all, and thank you for your support.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? You ready for the question? All in favor of approving $18,000 in support of the Fairfield Community Center Association, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 9, shall the voters approve a donation of $3,971 for the Franklin County Home Health Agency? I would entertain a motion. Motion by Linda Hodak. Is there a second?
I'll second. Rebecca Moyer.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve a donation of $3,971 for the Franklin County Home Health Agency. And the floor is open for discussion or comments. Oh, thank you.
Sharon True, I have a question. I just got a thing in the mail. Apparently, Franklin Home Health is being subsumed by VNA of Rutland and Southwest. Will it still be Franklin County Home Health? So are we voting to donate money to an extinct entity, or will it continue to have that name and, still need our support?
Is there anyone here that can speak to that? Susan?
My understanding is that they will be changing the name, Sharon. It's still gonna, so it's gonna be big, part of this bigger home health agency. My understanding is eventually they're gonna change the names. All the people are all the same. And they're the only, well, there's only one other home health agency in the area that's Bay Auto that covers all of Vermont and all of the United States.
Okay, thank you very much, sister. Other questions or discussions? Are you ready for the question? All in favor of approving a donation of $3,971 for the Franklin County Home Health Agency, please indicate by saying, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 10. Shall the voters approve a donation of $3,000 for the outdoor classroom? I would entertain a motion. Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
John Baxter.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve a donation of $3,000 for the outdoor classroom. Floor is open for discussion. Yes, your name, please.
Is $3,000 enough? I know we have somebody here that's participated in the outdoor classroom. It doesn't seem like you've raised the budget over the past couple of years. We're a county built on outdoor and everything, so it's great to see the kids get involved. So I'd like to know what's coming down the future for them, and is there going to be a budget change moving forward? Is it needed now?
Okay, Jamie Tibbetts, outdoor classroom coordinator. So I'll just give a little background. The 3,000 essentially goes for some of our cornerstone programs, which are sugaring, gardening, which we've taken a hit this year, and we're in the process of refiguring out what we're going to do over there. We do trout, we raise trout, and we do a lot of cooking with the kids. We supply pies for the food shelf and do all kinds. That's kind of our winter project. To answer your question, we have been very fortunate to leverage a lot of community support without having to ask for money from the taxpayers. We have a very supportive community, and when I've needed something, I've always seemed to be put in touch with the right person. So for this year, as we're going through some changes, I feel like this amount is good. I'm very conservative with it, though I have made some investments in the sugaring operation this year. And we do get support from school. You'll notice we actually have a sugaring truck this year that we now have through the district for our season, so that's kind of exciting. I've been pushing for that for the last 3 or 4 years. So I appreciate in hearing that, and I'll put more thought into the budget once we know where we're going with the gardening. And we're making a lot of changes to the sugaring, and I'm learning a lot right now, so I'm not quite sure what we will need at any point, but I'm happy with this budget for this year.
What do you do with the trout?
So this is a national program. It's a trout in classroom program. So we get eggs from the state, and the kids raise them, and then we do a big release day, kind of towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I'll speak briefly. John Baxter, and in the support of that, and like Jamie was talking about, it's incredible the support we get from, not just the sugar makers and from, from the community people, but also, it's just I'll find things just dropped off, and out of the blue, and but it's incredible that so many things over the years I've been able to establish this outdoor classroom, and it was like when it originally started, it was Julie showed up one day with rototiller and asked me, John, can you do a little rototilling? And so it kind of blossomed from there and kept going. And but having something, we're an agricultural town, probably one of the largest in the state. Also, having one of the largest sugar makers here in the state too. And I just want to put one good thing about it is that our 8th grade class this past spring took first place in state, and if it won in the state with the Black Robust, it was the best in the world. So they're really coming along, and they use a lot of basic. They really like it, and really enjoy a lot. And being here, a lot of these kids have been going through it for 10 years, you know, in school and being able to take off with that on their last year, they really enjoy it. That's enough for me, thanks.
Any other discussion or comments? Ready for the question? All right, all in favor of approving a donation of $3,000 for the outdoor classroom, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 11. Shall the voters approve a donation of $600 for Cat Crusaders of Franklin County, Inc.? I would entertain a motion. John Horton made a motion. Is there a second? Kathy Brandon seconded. Motion has been made and seconded to approve a donation of $600 for Cat Crusaders of Franklin County, Inc. Floor is open for discussion.
Is there anyone who can tell us what the Cat Crusaders do here in Fairfield or what they have done in the past year?
Your name, please.
Mary Alice Elbow.
Did everyone hear the question?
Nope.
Can someone explain what they've done for here in Fairfield over the last year, right? Yeah?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I don't know exactly when it was, but after we quit farming, we kind of got overrun by cats. Cat Crusaders came to my farm. It took 25 have-a-heart traps to collect all my cats. And they collected them all, and you know they fixed them all so that the population doesn't continue to explode. Although they're going to have to come back this year because they missed one female cat. So my population dipped significantly, but yeah, it's got a couple more that they need to catch this year. But yes, for especially those of us who are farmers that have stopped farming and you have all these cats and just like you can't just not feed them. So at one point I was buying like 2 barn cat bags a week to feed these cats. And, so it's a way to help control if you do have cats that have kind of gone out of control on your farm property. It's a good way to catch them and get them fixed so that the problem doesn't continue to explode.
Any other? Yes. Your name, please.
Not only farmers, I'm Gameberry. I live close to Fairfield Pond, and in the fall I seem to collect cats. And I've called them like twice, and they've come in and collected the kittens and taken care of them, and I don't have to worry about them throughout the winter. So it's for anybody. They're just wonderful. You just call them and they'll say, oh, okay, we'll be there in a day or so. And they come.
Any other discussion or comments? Ready for the question? All right, all in favor of approving a donation of $600 for Cat Crusaders of Franklin County, Inc., please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 12. Shall the town of Fairfield discuss that there is an inconsistency between the town of Fairfield's land use regulations and the town of Fairfield's town plan that prioritizes the protection and ongoing use of agricultural lands? I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second? Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Shall the town of Fairfield discuss that there is an inconsistency between the town of Fairfield's land use regulations and the town of Fairfield's town plan that prioritizes the protection and ongoing use of agricultural lands? The floor is open for discussion.
I'm Melissa Manson, Chair of the Zoning Board, Planning Commission. And the answer is absolutely yes, unquestionably yes. We have a fabulous opportunity right now because we have generated so much interest in zoning. And I say absolutely yes, we need to capitalize on this. The Select Board and you have approved, thank you,
put $16,000 in our zoning budget this year for us to get some assistance from regional planning. We had applied for a municipal planning grant to review the bylaws. We didn't get it this year. We might get it next year, you don't know. We're very fortunate to have Greta Brunswick in our town as a resident, and she's a senior planner at Northwest Regional Planning, and Greta has offered to give us some direction. We've also gotten great support from Dean Pierce, who is also a senior planner at Northwest Regional Planning. We have a big surge in interest from townspeople, so this is absolutely the right time for us to move forward with this project. We'll be looking at our bylaws, making changes where necessary, making sure we align with the plan, and hopefully we'll have the vision that we all want to have for Fairfield. I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has any. Also, Stephen, here, Stephen?
Stephen is supposed to be here.
He's supposed to be here.
I texted him and I haven't heard it.
Okay, that's all right. I want to introduce to you, in his absence, Stephen True has just accepted the position as zoning administrator. He brings a wealth of knowledge, not only of Fairfield, but of zoning regulations across the state, and he's familiarizing himself with ours, and he's going to be a fabulous addition to our team. We've also just increased the size of our zoning board and have added recently 3 new members, Dan Pipes, Vanessa Patel, and Don Wells, in addition to Demetrius Bolduc, Aaron Forbes, and Peter Burns. So we have a great group and a lot of interested persons, so it's going to be a fabulous year.
Other, yes.
I understand Melissa Manson is our chair, maybe she can address this. I understand from this letter, thanks for putting this in, one of the reports we've accepted, page 30, it indicates that the Planning Commission, Zoning Board, and from what I heard last night and my first of our Planning Commission meeting, it's a priority to look at this, to check out whether or not, and I think you used the review the zoning regulations and make sure they align closely with our plan. So I just wanted to follow up, and maybe it would be helpful to explain what you anticipate that process to look like, and maybe give folks a little bit more information about where they can go to get more information, and opportunities for public input.
So we haven't made a plan as of yet about how it will go, but I'll tell you that the last time we did it, which wasn't that long ago, we publicized public meetings and invited people to come. We met once a month, and those were included as an agenda item. The agenda is posted on the town's website. We meet the first Monday of every month. A portion of our meeting each month for a little over a year was dedicated to reviewing bylaws. I would assume we'll do something similar to that. We had specific public forums, 4 or 5 maybe, where we looked at different parts of the zoning regs and made adjustments as we saw necessary. I would assume we'll do the same thing again. Yes, thank you, Greta. So it's a very public process, and input. I'm really excited about the level of interest that we have, and I'm feeling very confident that we'll continue to have that through this process, so it's fabulous. Yeah, Dan? Oops, sorry.
Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Dan Pipes. And not a question for Melissa. I think it's more for the moderator. Just to clarify for me, is this a non-binding resolution to inform the select board on the will of the town, or is this a binding, we must do this? Thank you.
My understanding, the way it's written, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it says we're asking for a discussion about the inconsistencies.
So I just wanted to be clear, so that everyone understands the mechanism.
Right. The desire is for a discussion. Did you still have a comment?
I was just going to say that, relating to Vanessa's comment about how can the community, or what will be the ways that the community can participate in.
This is Greta Brunswick for anyone who doesn't know that.
What are the ways the community can participate in this project? I think that there are a lot of different options, and historically it has been primarily through public meetings, but I would love to hear ideas from the community that's here today, if there are other or favorite or ways that you would like to hear information or be able to be involved in provide your input. So I think that the plan, as Melissa noted, is not set in stone at this time, and the Plan Commission and the town are going to figure that out. So if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, I think that would be a great time to hear them now.
One of the other things that we did previously was like an online survey. We had physical surveys that were available in public spots, like at the library and the school and Chester and maybe at the store and the post office, that were just a handwritten survey that you could complete and deliver to us. Front Porch Forum, we have the website. So there's all kinds of opportunity, as well as attending a public meeting if you can't attend a public meeting, that we definitely will have opportunities for you to give input in other ways.
Over here.
It's my understanding, and please correct me if anybody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, that we've acknowledged that there are significant inconsistencies between the plan and the zoning regulations with respect to prioritization and protection and the ongoing use of agricultural land. So given that we've acknowledged that that's true, I'm wondering if there should be some sort of a moratorium on permits issued until those inconsistencies are resolved.
Is there anyone here that can speak to that?
I don't know if that would be legal. Greta, is that legal?
I think that the town would need to seek legal advice from the town attorney or any binding, interim bylaw. This is a way that would happen. But that would need to be done with legal advice for sure.
A legal question. Thank you. Over here.
Martha Manning. My question is, so which takes precedent? The land use regulations or the town plan? And my second question is, does the board intend to enforce and stand behind it?
Who can speak to that?
So the town plan is a visionary statement. The zoning regulations are the things that we use to review specific building requests. So while they guide together, the zoning regulations are the thing that is used to say yes or no to a project. The plan is visionary.
So
It does not guide specific, does this work, does that work question.
So then what's the purpose of the town plan?
Vision for the town.
But if you're not following the vision of what the townspeople wanted, what's the purpose?
I can't answer that question for you.
So does this group have the power to say we want that town plan to be enforced as it was visioned?
Can you explain that?
So the town plan has language that is not written in the form of development standards that can be used by the board to permit or deny projects.
So why wasn't it ever fixed?
That's the intent of the town plan. That's the point of the town plan, is it's intended to set the broad goal, it's visionary, and then the bylaws will further the goals and the vision and the plan with rules. And those are the rules that the
not be the plan that's not doing what it's supposed to do, but it's the bylaws that are not doing what they need to do.
If that's the feeling, if the feeling is that the plan is not being implemented, then yes, fix the bylaws so that they implement it.
So then, one last question. Why do you only spend 1 hour a month trying to fix something if you know it's a total kind of disaster? It seems like it would be a priority to get those fixed ASAP. It doesn't seem like 1 hour, 12 hours a year is really going to move it in a very speedy fashion.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak to the issue? Up on the,
Yeah, I think you kind of answered that.
excuse me, Melissa.
Sorry.
Gentleman at the top of the lead.
So it's all right. So I think kind of to answer that, I think, so we kind of identified the issue, and this was one of them, which is a good point. I think one way we've talked about maybe helping the zoning board with this, and this is all just discussion, but maybe creating a working group or like a planning committee, because the zoning board is all volunteers. They spend their time reviewing applications. So I know there's like 2 or 3 of us that have volunteered to help the zoning board. Maybe get some farmers on this group. Some other people that are involved, and we can spend some more time than what's allocated in the budget, and say, hey, this is what we think is inconsistent with the bylaws versus the town plan. So I don't know if that helps answer the question, but I think that's one thing we've talked about, and I think will help maybe the process.
Share, or yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just happen to have it written. Linda Ulrich here. Here's what the town plan says. The town plan says that the primary goal and vision is to protect prime agricultural lands and support the continuation of agriculture. So that's the vision written right in the town plan. And then the zoning reg, just to make some clarity, say that their purpose is to particularly implement the goals and policies of the Fairfield Town Plan. So I think it's like, the way I understand it is, somebody took a lot of time to write a visionary document, which is a town plan, and I can say it's really kind of nice to read. It's very historical, it's a cool document. And then the zoning regs are to implement that goal and vision. That's what it says from here.
Any other discussion? Yes. State your name, please.
Emily Buron. I'll hopefully keep this less than 5 minutes, but can everyone hear me? I want to kind of address some of the, I think, general concerns of the public, and it's really nice to be able to address all you guys, and thank you for your involvement. So my name is Emily Buron. I grew up in Jordan, Vermont.
Bridget.
I'll talk quickly.
I'm sorry.
Is she a town resident, a town voter?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you?
So I own property in the town of Fairfield. I am not a registered voter, but this is an open meeting, and I think the precedences would be the Vermont state open meeting law.
The Roberts Rule is the guiding principles here, and I have to have a suspension of the rules for any non-voting person to speak.
I thought that at the beginning of the outset of the meeting, you said that the Vermont state statute would take precedence over Robert's law.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so the Vermont state statute of open meeting law would allow me to participate in the open meeting.
Can you speak to that?
As a taxpayer of the town of Fairfield.
Can you speak to that? I don't know. Go ahead. Yep.
And everyone, thank you for allowing me to speak. So I'm the person that purchased the house on Church Road.
Yeah.
So, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm the person that purchased the house on Church Road that I intend to live there. So I've been very involved in a lot of this town action that many of you have also been participated in, and I appreciate that participation. One of the things that I keep hearing at these hearings is that we don't want Fairfield to turn into Fairfax. I mirror that sentiment. But we're doing a really good job. So did you guys know that 1/3 of the land in Fairfield is actually conserved by the Vermont Land Trust? 1/3. That can never be touched. 12,000 acres. And that doesn't include what's covered by the current use. Does anyone know how many acres are covered in current use in the town of Fairfield currently? 29,000 acres. So out of the total land mass of Fairfield, 76% of it is conserved. I'd say we're doing, it's in the town plan.
Correct. Current use land can be developed, it's not conserved.
Excuse me, Emily has the floor. Please let her continue uninterrupted.
So 76%, 73% of the town land is protected by either one or both of those programs. In Fairfax, they have less than 1,500 acres that's in conservation easements and less than 12,000 acres in current use. I'd say we're doing a pretty good job at not being Fairfax. But as others had mentioned, the town plan, let's not sell ourselves short. We can do better than just not being Fairfax. In fact, our town administrators, local planning and zoning boards, the Northwestern Regional Planning Commission, and community members have put a lot of time and effort, as Melissa had mentioned, into updating the town plan in 2021 and the town regulations in 2020. So the two objectives of the town plan that were instituted in 2021 that relate to agriculture are: one, for Fairfield to remain a rural and agricultural town, the future of the land use. And the primary goal for that objective is protect prime agricultural land and support the continuation of agriculture, as Linda also stated. I want to highlight the continuation of agriculture. Another one of the objectives is supporting the future of agriculture in Fairfield. And the goal for this statement is, and this is the only goal for this statement, is the continued efforts to preserve productive farmland and forest resources in the town of Fairfield. Productive farmland and resources. I think we all know what the definition of productive is. It's producing some sort of crop or benefit. Can we all agree those are objectives that we can believe in? Those are all in the town plan. Okay. All right, so I'd like to get a show of hands. Who here works in agriculture, owns an agricultural business, grew up on a farm, drove past a farm on your way here today? I think we can probably all say that, right? So keep your hands up, please. I think we can all appreciate the volume of farmland that we have in Fairfield. So, while I'm not going to get the precision I wanted, I think we can all use this as a rhetorical question. Of those who own, operate, and employ, and are employed in the ag business, put your hand down, or in your mind, put your hand down if you farm or have an agricultural business that's over 1,500 acres. Now put your hand down if it's 1,000 acres. How about 800 acres? Does anyone farm less than 500 acres? Less than 200? Less than 10? Does anyone have a viable agricultural business based on 6 acres? Okay, that's great. So I am going to thank all of you who own and operate those businesses. Regardless of the scale of your agricultural business, I thank you for continuing to operate and making sure productive farmland and forests are preserved as the town plan instructs. So in addition to those objectives, as Linda and others have mentioned, is the overarching vision statement, which reads, "It is the primary and fundamental intention of Fairfield to remain a rural agricultural town. Every effort should be given to the maintenance and furtherance of agricultural enterprises in Fairfield." The maintenance and furtherance of agricultural enterprises. That's our vision statement. I think in contrast to what some people have said, that the town plan and the town regulations do not align, I actually have testimony provided by none other than Linda Ulrich at our meeting in January, that actually is highlighted in red here, saying that the relationship between the two documents could not be written any clearer. If anyone wants to see it, I can have it. It's also part of the public record. So, and if we did follow them to the way that they are meant to be interpreted, they would certainly preserve our productive farmland and ensure the continuation of our agricultural enterprises if they were applied properly. So let's review a few developments that have happened recently since the new adoption of the rules. There was 30 acres of agricultural land that was developed on the Rug Road, and 65 acres removed from current use and turned into 7 residential lots within the last 2 years, people. Where were you then? I'm not giving any heed to the person that did that. Okay. No disrespect to people that did those developments. However, can I have the floor?
Please let her finish, she's wrapping up.
Almost done. Thank you for your respect. So, I have no disrespect to people that did those developments. I know people who purchased those, and they're very excited to be part of this community again. However, it can't go unsaid that these and others, there's more than just these two, I'm not trying to single anyone out. These are the exact types of development the spirit of the town plan and the regulations aims to control, not prohibit, but control. I'll restate the vision and objectives. Removing productive farmland and its continued use in agricultural enterprises. Where it gets,
We're past 5 minutes.
I have just one more point. So one more point, where it gets hard to align the town plan and the land use regulations.
5 minutes.
Where it gets hard to align the town plan and the land use regulations is when you try to apply them to prevent development of 6 acres of agriculturally marginal land. The definition of marginal is secondary or minor importance, not central. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Emily. Any other questions or discussion? Are you ready for the question? All right. All in favor? The town of Fairfield discussing that there is an inconsistency between the town of Fairfield's land use regulations and the town of Fairfield's town plan that prioritizes the protection and ongoing use of agricultural lands. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, please indicate by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Article 13, to transact any other non-binding business that may properly come before this meeting. I'd entertain a motion. Thank you. And a second, please? Yes. Second on the motion? I'm sorry, second? All right. Motion has been made and seconded to transact any non-binding business that may properly come before this meeting. John?
Let's talk about the common school. Yeah, we'd like to talk about the common school.
Yeah. John was the first one.
I think,
Any make a motion? John?
I assume a public service announcement about documentary viewing would be appropriate. On the 28th of March, at the Weldon Theater in St. Albans at 7 o'clock, there'll be a public showing of the documentary film called Just Getting By. The documentary film that was produced by Bess O'Brien, a Vermont filmmaker, and it addresses the issue of food insecurity. Open, free to the public, 7 o'clock on the 28th of March at the Weldon Theater. I invite all of you to join.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, let's go back. No, wait. We'd like to talk about that like school.
Yeah, I was just going to recognize.
Yes, like that.
Okay. Gavin?
Last year, we talked about what we were going to do with the white school down here. It cost us last year roughly $11,000 just to keep the heat on minimum. So there was a group that got together that came up with suggestions and ideas. And as a board, we're open to any of them. Just listening to it, nothing's binding. But we wanted to make sure it was heard at town meeting, so it gives people time enough to think about this before any decision ever gets made. So Julie is going to be good enough to bring forth what they had, as a group, they come up with some ideas.
There was a group of people who took charge of the select board's request to determine the future of the common school. So in what we want from you today is either your support for moving forward with the recommendation that we came up with. So we formed a working group. We met maybe four times. We had established principles to guide the work. We wanted to respect the historic character of the building or of the area. We wanted it to remain a community resource. We wanted to minimize financial impact on Fairfield residents. And we wanted to plan for adequate management of the programs and of the facility. We considered also a preliminary vision for the reuse. There's after-school and child care services that are needed in the community. There's recreation program support, and there's need for flexible community space. We came to a consensus after looking at, I think, 7 or 8 different scenarios of the reuse of that building, and the consensus recommendation of the committee or of the working group was restoration of the common school and upgrading the infrastructure to allow for the full use of the building. The next steps that we see are to finalize the vision for reuse, explore revenue-generating programming that supports the vision, hire an architect to draw up plans and provide cost estimates, and focus on funding possibilities. And I'd like now to bring in a few members of the committee to kind of speak to a few points. And I'm sorry there's not a portable mic. I can't come to you, so you're going to have to come here. I wanted Mary Schreindorfer to give a little historical information on how the community feels about the building, how she feels about the building, just to give you our perspective on why we as a committee wanted to preserve that building.
I haven't had a lot of time this morning to bring my thoughts together, but in essence, the common school building is a focal point for the Fairfield Center Village. It is architecturally significant because it is one of the oldest buildings in our village. It is the oldest public building that we as a town have. And to me, that is something that is significant and deserves respect for the service that's given to the town and for the quality of the workmanship of our ancestors that brought it into being in the first place. All of those things, when you pull into town, I feel that it is a landmark for us. And when you come in the evening and there's some activity going on and you see the lights on throughout the building, it's something to be proud of. It's uplifting. And I think it is worthy of preservation and finding a functional use that is embracing all age groups, I think is important for community too. Not just for this young people who play sports, but for senior citizens who want to gather for a class or an exercise program or whatever. I see it as an opportunity for our community to make use of a facility that's been there for generations and still has some life to give us.
And I'd also like Greta and Jean to come up to talk about potential funding, potential ways, that we could afford as a community to restore the common school. I don't know if...
So we're really at the beginning stages of thinking about how what funding might be needed, because we're still looking at what might be done. But I've been working to put together a list of funding sources. There's a variety of opportunities from private foundations to state and federal resources. There's also the opportunity to look into creating a community or village trust, which would be a nonprofit that could work to raise funds. But I think the overall goal is to raise as many funds as possible to limit the impact on taxpayers, but to really have the community come together and think about how to make this building fully serve the community's goals. And then Jean has some other ideas on regional.
Well, in addition to grant writing, there's opportunities for fundraising, to hold events for the community to come together and give their support. In addition to that, there's also possibilities of launching a capital campaign, which people could contribute larger sums of money for specific phases of the project. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. And again, depending upon what the final vision of the town is about what will happen to this building, will determine what resources will ultimately be available to rebuild or disassemble.
So, and maybe I had one more person to call on, but I'm not sure that she can come up here. Liesl, do you want to speak to just, how you would see the common school being part of your generation's future?
Yeah, my name is Liesl Orford-Gerber, and I think what excites me about the common school space is sort of looking at the picture of Fairfield. We have so many incredible community assets that you guys have really voted to support today, so I thank you all for contributing those community assets, and I'm really excited about the common school and the potential there for us to add another community asset sort of to this gem of a town. And I'm excited in the future for us to be able to drive by and whatever we end up using there, be able to know that it's a part of our history, and also to know that it's contributing something to the next generation of Fairfield. So I really look forward to talking more about this, to communicating with people about what the next generation wants to see in that building. And I think it's an exciting and cool community conversation to have to fill another great need in our community. So thank you so much.
So I don't know, maybe Bridget I don't know how to get to determine what your will here is, so the select board knows how to move forward. Ask. Do you support the recommendation that we came to as a working group to restore the common school to its best and most productive use?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other non-binding business for discussion? Go to Chuck first.
I know to have a big change coming up with the bridge is going to have to be redone. I just don't know if the select board could address what that may involve with traffic flow, what that might involve with. I know people are going to get concerned about it, so I just thought maybe it should be at least discussed before we get to that point.
Well, I guess I would plan on a long summer. Sometime after the 4th of July, the state's going to close that bridge for 28 days and going to basically resurface the bridge. So they'll be stripping it right down to the girders. So it's going to be, we're trying to plan ahead. We got some money from the state, about $19,000, right? Somewhere in that range. So we're going to use it. We know Ryan Road's going to get hit hard and Chester Arthur Road. So we're trying to keep that graded, more chloride upon it. I'm sure East Fairfield up Bridge Street and come out on South Road with some people. The state does as little as they can, so they don't have any liability. So we're basically trying to make it the best we can, plus take lots of photographs of Chester Arthur Bridge because the thing should be replaced sometime. and I'm sure it's gonna get a lot more wear and tear through that month. Next time, they claim it's gonna be done in a month, but it's gonna be a long month for a lot of folks. And we're gonna put some signage up, you know, try to restrict heavy trucks going on there, but that's a bit of a pipe dream, unless we deputized Dave Persons or something. He has that experience in dog catching, so. Yeah, and we are still looking actively for a dog catcher. Animal control, excuse me, because we have to go after a few cats also. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot as a town we can do except try to maintain those roads we know we're going to get hit hard, and also document when we see that there's excessive wear, whether we can get a few more dollars out of the state or not. And that's about the best we're truly going to do. But it'll be sometime after the 4th of July. It's a 28-day project.
Is this questions on the bridge?
Yes, I'm Candy Granite. I live on Chester Arthur Road. Is there going to be some management with the control of the speed of traffic on there? Because I say a prayer sometimes when I go on 36 every morning that I'm going to make it to St. Albans.
Well, try walking across the road on 36 to the garage on the other side. Every once in a while, someone will stop. And one day I had my arm full of tools, and the lady let me through. And she kind of looked, I was hesitating. I said, well, I just want to make sure you weren't trying to line me up. You know, so we're going to do what we can. You know, again, we're going to see what experiences, how much money we could actually have to contract if we did try to do something with the sheriff's department for a month, something of that nature.
The other concern there, and I don't know if the rec trail would be concerned with that too, maybe adding a blinking sign there since there's going to be an influx of traffic during that month when the busiest times of the
There's blinking light where?
like adding more signage than the one that's just.
Oh, you mean at the Chester Arthur?
For the rail trail that goes across there, right where we are, there's not a lot of signage for traffic now. And that, with the influx of more traffic, I'm wondering if something else should be done to.
Oh, that's a possibility. That's a good idea. Of a temporary one sign.
Yeah, they told me to come on.
Yep, no, come on up.
Hi, I'm Kathy Ainsworth. I'm the town administrator of Fairfield, and these are really good questions. The $19,000 that the state has provided is for to manage the traffic that might go onto our town highways. Unfortunately, the amount is not going to cover everything that we need to do. We're currently calculating how much we need for salt and gravel and signs. And enforcement is the last part of this because we're talking about 2,000 cars that'll be diverted around about 18 miles. And our local roads are more of a 5-mile diversion. So we can do what we can do with the money that's provided for our local roads. And then the state, because this Route 36 is a state road, they're responsible for all of the major locations to show where traffic should go. And we'll do our best. Yeah.
Just to clarify, where's the bridge on 36? I'm assuming it's the one by the store, but. not-
Yeah, the bridge on 36 we're talking about is just after the intersection with North and South Road. It's just before the store. So it's between the intersection and the store.
Can we put up rumble strips on there, Chester Arthur Road?
Can we put up bumper stickers? Is that what you said? Oh, rumble strips.
And is it a question on the bridge? You go first.
Courtney Mode, has there been discussion about putting like a stoplight where the bridge is on Chester Arthur? You know, stopping traffic coming both ways, because I've been on that bridge and had to slam my brakes on with a car coming and not stopping at that bridge. It's, you know, I know it can fit 2 cars, but really, it's supposed to, but it's tight. So is there a thought about putting a temporary stoplight there?
So a traffic control plan is what we need to put together, and we just got the money to be able to do that. This is also a good idea that I can bring to the road foreman as we figure out how much money we have and what we can afford as a town for this specific project. I can bring that to his attention.
Jason Weatherby. I might know a guy that could, there's click-it or ticket money, there's all sorts of grants for local law enforcement. July's a hot time of year, so knowing that this project's going on in town might be able to divert some resources, not every day, but a time or two, to help hopefully curb some of the speeding issues, stop signs, et cetera.
Could you come and talk to me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Your number.
Any other non-binding business?
Because I was wondering when I might speak about this. John Baxter. And yeah, I physically you're going up and down that road every day, so no matter what the weather usually is. Walking and it's tough enough. Like I remember Gavin coming and saying, you know, he's going to be paving the road going up there. I said, oh shoot, I'd rather have it back to dirt. And I mean, you put something, you know, really like that, everybody just speeds up. And so I know it is going to be a wicked challenge to try to get people that are coming from different directions and that don't even know Fairfield at all, or the Chester Arthur Road, and just coming down the Gould Hill. But I mean, it would really be nice if they could definitely, I mean, I know the costs may be not there, but to have a sheriff, you know, physically there, or you might see me out there sitting on a stool with my shotgun.
Any other non-binding business? Julie? And
Just maybe a concern down the road. I heard from James Gregoire at the select board meeting a couple weeks ago that, you know, it's going to cost more to replace the gas pumps, and there's a potential that the store will not be in existence anymore. And I think that's a concern for the whole community, but I'm just putting it out there that it's something to be aware of. That it's important to have a store in the center, and we should think of ways to support one.
anyone else? Have any non-binding? Yes.
Is that a captive audience? The Historical Society, Corey Crossman, president of the Historical Society. I got some names of volunteers last year at this meeting, so I figured I'd bring it up again. If anyone's interested in joining the Historical Society, and you're not busy with the dog catcher role that's been offered, please get in contact with myself. We do have some events and stuff going on this year. We have a grant for a murder in 1874 at Marietta Ball. So we're going to be installing a marker for that and a dedication for that. So please get in touch with me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Richard, I do. Vanessa Cattell again. Out of an abundance of caution, and given the resources that have gone into town meeting, everyone being here, our select board, our planning chair, our zoning administrator is now here, and when we were closing discussion on article number 12 about the discussion, I did hear a few people say, wait. So out of an abundance of caution, I'd ask that we reopen number 12 to permit any more comment on that if there is any further.
I think we can do that under this article if there's any remaining comments.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I think Kathy was ahead of you.
Kathy needs to. No, mine is minor. You're going to be way better. I wanted to go back to Greta's comment. I wanted to say, when you said your suggestion, my suggestion is if we can make sure that the meetings are Zoomed or made public so people who can't make it to the actual meeting could actually participate and hear what's going on. So that would be my one request of those meetings. Thanks.
As the zoning administrator, the clerk for these meetings.
Name, please.
Stephen True, zoning administrator.
I started about 3 weeks ago, but I've been in this role in several other towns throughout the state for a few years now. Yes, hybrid meetings are well on their way to becoming written into law. So I think coming forward, there is an expectation that any public meeting be conducted in a hybrid fashion. So yes, we will endeavor to do our best to do that. Vanessa indicated there was one specific question about halting permitting, and I'd like to give an answer to that. I think as Greta mentioned, there might be some legal constraints in municipalities' ability to stop issuing permits. And I just want to sort of give a high-level view of the types of permits that are available. One being a permissible permit, which, for example, in most zoning districts, a permit for a single-family house is very easy to achieve. It's a permit that I can issue. It can be appealed, but it's a simple process to issue a building permit for a single-family home in the state of Vermont.
Maybe you can speak to the process that someone raises the question. You can speak to the process by which it would be permitted.
I'm sorry, everyone needs to be able to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
go ahead.
Sure.
Steve,
Yeah. I mean, so there are only certain circumstances where a permit will come to the attention of the appropriate municipal panel. So if you're subdividing land, if you're proposing a use that is conditional in your district, and a conditional use typically is a use that I think the public would recognize should have additional scrutiny. Say you're opening a retail commercial operation, perhaps the neighbors would like to know and have due process to participate in that. So, permitting comes in several flavors. Not every permit needs to go in front of a municipal panel.
Thank you. Over here, Shannon.
Shauna Ratner, I'm the one who raised the issue, and you're right, I understand there are many different kinds of permits.
Yeah.
The question in my mind is, pertaining to the protection of agricultural land, which is really the point at issue here, and the agricultural character of this community going forward.
Right.
Given that there's an acknowledged discrepancy between the language of the plan and the way the bylaws now serve to enforce or not enforce the intention of that plan, my question is, can any development that come under the rubric of, in other words, that involve agricultural land in any way, can there be a moratorium on issuing those permits until that inconsistency is resolved and the plan is effectively enforced through the zoning regulations?
I think on the surface of it, and while I understand the urgency to perhaps get to that point where that discrepancy is understood and resolved, there is a process by which bylaws are made and adopted. So we have to go through that statutory process in order to amend the bylaws. And until such time that that process is complete, we need to operate under the existing bylaws.
Okay, sir.
All right, I hear you. Thank you for your response. I have some other thoughts.
Does anyone else have? Yes, over here.
So just in kind of response to that lengthy speech you gave, who defines productive farmland? Because productive to one person may not be productive to you, but it sure as heck would be productive to me just because I don't have the money to do something with it, but it's still productive in my eyes. Do you understand what I mean? So who defines productive farmland? That's a big deal in this county, in this town right here.
Any other topics? It's time to move on to another topic.
I just want to add to what Christine Pavetta
to be right by the land and the history of this town. And so I find that question is probably an important question for this town to grapple with as we figure this out. Because I'm rocking the shit out of 3 acres of land.
And I'm doing the same with my 2 acres. I bake for a living on the side, and I'm doing my own berries and my own gardens. I'm rocking my 2 acres. I'm using every bit of it that I can. So define productive is a tough thing, and that offends me.
It offends you too.
Okay, one more, Emily, and then I have to remind people we're only allowed to speak twice on any topic, so I think we need to wrap this up. And you can continue chatting afterwards. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to offend anyone by any means. I said I appreciate every single size and scale of agricultural business and enterprise that we have here in Fairfield. They're all very important. What the differentiation I'm making between certain different types of land is that some of them are agriculturally productive. They have farms. They've been in production. They continue the agriculture in the town of Fairfield. The continuance of agriculture is part of the vision statement. So where you have land that's producing berries, that is productive land that is contributing to the enterprise of agriculture in Fairfield. I by no means meant to diminish the size of anyone's agricultural enterprise by any means. I'm saying that there are certain lands that currently and historically have not been used for agricultural enterprises. And that is the definition, and that is the distinction that the town plan does make, and it's very clear.
Are there any other topics for non-binding business? Hearing none, let's move on to the next article, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn. From Brian, is there a second to adjourn? John Baxter. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes appear to have it. We're adjourned.